Welcome to today's SeafoodNews.com video, sponsored by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute.
It's Tuesday, October 15th. In Dutch Harbor today, the king crab season is opening, but about 80 crab boats are sitting idle because they don't have fishing permits due to the government shutdown. This is a highly visible symptom of what's happened. But a more insidious damage is taking place across fisheries throughout the U.S., and I want to focus on that this morning. A small story about Bering cisco caught my eye. Bering cisco is a whitefish that migrates up the Yukon River late in the year, under the ice sometimes, after the salmon season. And recently, Quick Pack Fisheries has developed a successful commercial fishery on this fish in New York, where it's highly prized as a type of whitefish. Now, the ability to catch this fish depends on showing the government that the stock is healthy enough to support the fishery. And there's been research going on for several years tracking the fall migration of this stock that happens in the first couple of weeks of October. Well, this year, the biologist doing that research got shut down, as did his pilot who flies his radio surveys. So this is threatening his entire work on the stock sort of sustainability and assessment of the Bering Sea cisco. So what's going to happen here? Well, initially it'll make the state more cautious about how much fish can be caught, but in the long term it threatens the entire sort of partnership that we've built up in the U.S. Between the seafood industry and government science. The worst part about this government shutdown is it threatens the very foundation of the livelihood of most fishing in the U.S. And that's for a simple reason. We all say that we want to fish according to the best available science. This is written into the law in Magnuson. And when we make the argument that we have the right to harvest and make money and supply protein from a public resource, the counterbalance to that is we do it in a responsible manner that ensures the sustainability of that resource. If you take science out of that equation, you've really destroyed the kind of partnership, and all you're left with is arguments over whether there is fish or isn't fish, and the net result is a very precautionary environment where large swaths of the ocean are shut down to all fishing. What the government shutdown did in not just Bering cisco, but in not just Bering Sea crab either, but in countless ways around the country, is it's disrupted and in some cases undermined ongoing fisheries research. That research that might look like a biologist's salary is actually paying the economic benefit of the commercial fishery on which that is based. And the fact that this thing is so undermined and so much a political football is a serious long-term detriment. You know, for years we've been going around the world preaching that the U.S. has the best fishery management system in the world. Well, that fishery management system is the best in the world because of the partnership between the industry and the government that's based on very well-funded science and very well-funded understanding of the fishery. This is what's being threatened by this government shutdown, and I can think of nothing more stupid and more short-sighted for the politicians who supported or caused this shutdown to claim to be friends of the fishing industry. They're not. They're actually undermining us at every turn. In Lexington, Mass., this is John Sackton.
Today's SeafoodNews.com video was brought to you by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute. Alaska has been protecting wild and sustainable seafood for generations and adheres to the most recognized and internationally accepted set of guidelines written by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. For recipes and additional information, visit wildalaskaflavor.com.